Welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Krause.
Hello. It's time once again for more BumbleKast. There is no shortage of questions, that's for sure.
Nope, they keep coming in from our patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, and our YouTube members.
Yep. And let's not waste any time and get right on into them. I'm going to start off with this one from Allison S. On the master list, you two were asked about your favorite coffees, but what do you two think of tea? And for the listeners, remember that throwing tea in the harbor is the only way to make your voice heard. Register to vote. Maybe don't do that right now.
I don't know. There's worse things you can do on a Saturday night. I'm not a big hot drinker. I mean, I enjoy a standard black tea and orange pico or whatever with sufficient sugar to further tempt the diabetes gods.
Mm-hmm. So you do like sweet tea? Or
yeah, but they don't have it up here, Kyle. It's always the stuff with the lemon infusion, and I hate the lemon infusion. So I've had to make my own, and I make sure that I don't put as much sugar in as I do back down south.
Yeah.
So in the few times I have been able to travel home and, I'm going to get me some authentic Southern sweet tea. It's like, oh, this is so sweet. This is sucking all the moisture out of my body. This is not refreshing at all.
I gotta be honest, I kind of hate sweet tea. I do not enjoy it at all. I don't know why. You think I would like it, but I can't do it. I have to have it. I only drink, if I drink iced tea, it's dark. Yeah. Nothing in it. Maybe a tiny bit of lemon, but nah.
Haven't come back, I understand. It's cloyingly sweet sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, no, I can't. That taste just doesn't gel with me. Does not work for me. So, but I like a classic iced tea, but other than that, I'm not really a big fan of tea. Sorry, British folk. Then again, I have not really had authentic British tea, to be fair, really. So it's a little, I guess that's different than most tea.
It is.
I don't know.
It is. I have had, your proper standard British breakfast tea, and that's on a different level.
Yeah. It seems more coffee-like to me than tea. I don't know.
No.
But it's not quite the same. I don't know. Next question is from Andrew D. Has any of the timeline placements for the Tails tubes been finalized? So far, I think only 2 can be assumed. Episode 3 ends with Sonic and Tails leaving to check out the Starfall Islands, presumably leading into the events of Sonic Frontiers. And the more complicated one, Episode 2, has Eggman mentioned the events of Sonic Forces as being his last campaign. As Sonic and his friends learn that Dr. Eggman is returned in issue 14 and Sonic gets infected with Metal Virus in issue 15, it would make the most sense as having happened between those 2 issues, unless Sonic was infected with the Metal Virus during the beginning of Episode 2. Any thoughts on that and the other episodes?
I will leave that to the fans to debate as much as they want.
I mean, it can happen at any time. And Tails has a question, a continuation of my last question. After Tails received unhelpful advice from Rouge, the two-tailed fox sought help from Amy Rose on how best to express his feelings for Cosmo and develop the courage to ask her out. Surely Amy, of all Mobians, can offer some solid advice. How does the consultation go, and what happens when Tails attempts to put Amy's advice to use?
Oh, she cites her own success, clearly, and says just be yourself and be direct. They'll appreciate you being so forward and being so straightforward and clear with your intentions. And Tails just kind of stares at her and the slow head tilt. Just tell her? Just walk up and say, hi, I like you? Are you insane? You can't do that. Why? It worked for me. Yeah, it worked for you. And how long? How fast does Sonic run from you? And it's like, you don't need to be rude, Tails. We're here as friends. I'm doing you a favor. Watch your mouth.
Oh, no. Oh, man. When did they get so catty with each other? Jeez.
When we started answering so many bloody relationship questions.
True.
It's the BumbleKast. It's not canon.
Luckily. I'm sure some out there wish it would be fired from a canon, though, but, you know. Oh, well. CC has a question. I've always wondered, does roboticization prevent aging?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I thought that was established. I could be wrong.
I feel like there was a joke in there somewhere, like Uncle Chuck says, I don't even age aside from metal fatigue or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe he says I don't get tired and I'm messing up the joke. Or maybe just inventing something. I don't remember. But I think you don't age because you're, an undying robot.
Yes, that would make sense. Comic the Hedgehog has a question. Everyone in Green Hill has decided to take the word hedgehog very literally, and now Sonic, Shadow, Amy, and Silver are fighting over who gets possession of all the hedges in Green Hill. Which hog will have the most hedges when the dust has settled?
Silver, buddy, that's not a hedge. That's a tree, buddy. Put it down. That's no spruce. All right, I know. Just...
oh, man.
I mean, there's a lot of firepower being thrown around between the spin dashes and the chaos spears, the TK fields, and the Pico hammer. I don't know if there'll be any shrubs left to claim. Hedges, excuse me. Like, they might all be lost in the collateral damage. And, it's a message about the folly of war. Everything you fight for is destroyed in the process. It's a deep, resonating story about hedgehogs fighting over hedges.
Mm-hmm. Hedgehogs on the edge, fighting for hedges.
And how much hedge could a hedgehog hedge if a hedgehog could hedge?
That much. Dawson the Dachshund has a question. Time for a tale of two kitties. Thanks to some dimensional shenanigans, the new temporary ruler of the Soul Kingdom is Garfield the cat, while Blaze is given the title of John Arbuckle's pet. How do they both fit into their roles for the next month?
Well, number one, Imperial Prince Garfield is decreeing Mondays no longer exist.
Garfield rules with an iron fist.
I mean, he's just planted on the throne. They constantly bring the trays of lasagna. He occasionally gives an edict. But otherwise, the rest of the staff's pretty used to running things because, Blaze is out there protecting the world or she's on her extended vacation. They know how to keep things running without a lot of input. So Garfield's just sitting there like, I don't need to really say or do anything. You just bring me food and I occasionally say, do that. I like it here. Meanwhile, Blaze is going to get John's life in order. She'll try to be nice about it at first, but that sad sack, no. He's got to straighten up, especially around this place. If she's going to stay here, it is going to be a tightly run ship.
Yeah. What does she think about Odie?
She already has kind of personal space concerns. The tongue, it's a bit much, but she's already been tempered with all of her interactions with Marine. It's just slightly more slobbery, so she deals with it. I mean, he means well at the very least.
Yeah. And Nermal?
Nermal's fine. What's the problem with Nermal? She's so well-traveled, fluent in the language of Abu Dhabi.
It's true. DDR Master M has a question. Belated thanks to Starlight for Princess and Twilord for Ship Questions last live stream. Here's another Animal Crossing question, this one borrowed from Major Bunny. Isabelle accidentally applied to a secretary job at the Eggman Empire. Does she get the job? And if so, how does it go?
Yeah, she gets the job. I mean, Eggman's had a fair uptick in animal people applying to work for him. He doesn't get it. I mean, kind of has a bad reputation with him, but hey, if they want to work for him, who is he to say no? And Isabelle is, she's a hard worker. She's dedicated to making things work and making things better. And it may not be the most ideal work environment, but, otherwise she would have to quit. And she's no quitter.
Yeah. What does she think about Sage? And what does Sage think about her, actually?
A little unnerved by Sage at first, but, she tries to keep an open mind, doesn't want to judge people by their appearances, even if they are ghastly white, floating around and flickering full of digital confetti. What in the world? But, she's civil and actually rather polite and can hold a decent conversation. She's not too bad. This is why you don't judge people. She's actually a very nice little girl.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Sage is like, this Isabelle person is competent and punctual and friendly to a fault. She's done great work around the egg office. I wish Father had hired her sooner.
Yeah.
She'll actually make a point of arguing, no, let's not actually install her in the latest death machine. She would be more effective sitting at the front desk.
Yes. Although Isabel does know her way around a BFG.
I'm staring blankly at the microphone in befuddlement.
It's a Doom reference.
Ah! Right. I was trying to think what in Animal Crossing has that acronym.
The big friendly gun.
Yes.
That's
See, right there when Sonic invades the base, she does apologize, but she's on the clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Isabel, what are you planning to do with that? Well, rip and tear until the job is done.
Yeah, exactly. See? Germax has a question. My question is, were there more than one Chaos Emerald present during both versions of Archie Silver's future? I know that Edmund showed Silver a cracked one, but I wondered if all 7 were present.
I don't even remember one being cracked, to be perfectly honest, but I would assume the Chaos Emeralds are still around.
Out there causing chaos. That's what they do. And we got a question from Gideon W. With Easter nearing, I was wondering about how Nermies feel about animal-themed outfits, and then kept going. So, if Sonic, for contrived reasons, knew Eggman was going to wear a Sonic onesie at a location and time, would and could he show up in a store-bought Eggman onesie?
You know what? Yeah.
This is a Boom episode. I know it always goes back to that, but it's a Boom episode.
It would definitely be Boom. It could also be a classic Sonic story.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Eggman of that era is especially oval shaped, and he's a well-known supervillain. Someone's going to be tacky enough to sell an Eggman costume, and Sonic would absolutely troll him with his own look. So yeah,
pretty much. Hearts 13 has a question. A what-if scenario about an alternate universe animated short made by Sega that adapts the Running Wild storyline from the 1990s Fleetway Sonic comic series. How well does it play out, especially when the Sonic Frontier song Breaks Through It All plays during Psycho Supersonic's attack of the Freedom Fighters caravan?
I don't know if that's appropriate music. I mean, yes, it's aggressive, but isn't Break Through It All more about, personal perseverance? And it's Psycho Supersonic making a very bad day for everyone. Maybe there's some irony in that. I don't know.
Maybe. I think that's maybe part of the joke.
Maybe.
Minor Key undefeatable? That undefeatable was in Minor Key.
Of course, now I'm imagining, an actual Sonic the Comic based animated series done by like a French studio for that very, specific European flavor of the animation stuff. That might be pretty sick.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
And if you could, I know that the 3D animation done to look like stylized 2D has made great leaps and bounds over the years. I'm still not super fond of it. There's only a few rare instances where I feel like it actually feels like the visuals match what they're trying to execute. But if you could find that magic balance and maintain that paintery look, that watercolor look that so many of the stories had, that'd be gorgeous.
That would be tough, but it would be worth it. That would be awesome. And here's a question from JCR1216. Who wins in a fight? Big versus Mighty.
What happens when an unstoppable force hits an unmovable object?
I think that's a Dragon Ball level battle right there.
Yeah, I mean, it would start off playful and low key. I mean, Mighty's not going to come out like full strength, especially for this big friend here. He's friend shaped. You don't want to get rough with him. And after a couple rounds, he realizes he's not doing anything to this guy. And Big's like, that tickles.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Mighty's like, all right, so you're clear to go a little harder, huh? All right, let's try this. And then, they're moving mountains and shifting tectonic plates and putting new craters on the moon.
On the moon, huh?
Yeah, well. Big just kind of grabs him, whoop, throws him straight up there. Mighty comes crashing down in his shell cracker plus re-entry, flattens Big straight to the bottom of the ocean. Big's like, felt that one.
Uh-oh. Danger. I love this one.
Mighty's finally kind of ragged for breath, all mussed up from being thrown across half the hemisphere. Big just kind of cracks his back and shifts his neck and is like, okay, now we can get serious.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Oh, great. Fantastic. And we got a question from Jill. Do not worry. This is definitely not a fan idea that's usable.
That makes me nervous.
I mean, I think they're right, but I've headcanon that in the future, swear words kind of lost their meaning and filtered into normal speech and are no longer offensive. So in present time, Silver is going around swearing like crazy, using the foulest words in his conversations, but obviously has no idea what he's doing. How do his friends react? Who's going to tell him? Who finds it funny? More importantly, how does Vanilla react to him dropping the F-bomb in front of Cream? Yeah, I don't think you can use that one, Ian.
True enough. I think most folks would be a trifle taken aback because they are generally nice and genteel people. I mean, even Eggman would be slightly flustered. He thinks himself a gentleman.
Weird.
What kind of language do you use, young man? Sonic would think it's funny.
I mean...
Like, maybe the first F-bomb would kind of catch him off guard, and then he realizes that Silver doesn't mean it that way. It's just part of his personal lexicon, and he's just like, yeah, all right, buddy. Hey, you do you. All right.
He's not going to stop him.
No. Knuckles doesn't flinch because, he's lived alone his whole life. He doesn't know those words.
Yeah.
If anything, he's learning a new dialect.
How does Knuckles know any words?
That is a question we're not going to answer. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
And Vanilla, she's just going to punt Silver back to the future. When that shoe reaches 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit.
Oh, man. Oh, man. And now people want to hear your Silver voice say naughty words. Say the F-bomb.
That might be towing the line on what Sega would allow. I know it's not official. I'm not remotely representative.
Make Silver say jelly.
Oh, there you go. See? All right. So I'm cracking myself up. Hey there, Sonic. Great weather we've been having, huh? Jelly, eh? So jellied up to go around in this beautiful new timeline.
Jelly what?
What the jelly's up with that expression? Just speaking common jelly English, aren't I?
Yeah. Oh, man. What would
I finally found him. That jelly Iblis trigger.
He is very jelly. What does Surge think about it? Surge just talks like that normally, wouldn't she? If she weren't in an all ages book.
Oh, yeah. She'd be like, finally, someone cool.
Finally, someone else who swears as much as I do.
So let me get this straight, Fluffy. If this timeline's ruined, we all talk like that in the future? Oh, I'm going to burn down some orphanages.
Surge calls him Fluffy.
Look at him.
I mean, he is very fluffy, to be fair. Look, yeah, he is. He is. All right, Johnny Gyro has a question. In Sonic X, Dark Oak's plan for galactic domination involves stealing planet eggs, apparently the crystallized life force of planets. Meanwhile, Sonic Unleashed revealed that Chip/Light Gaia and Dark Gaia sleep inside of Earth. TLDR, what would have happened if the Metarex saga took place after Sonic Unleashed? On a scale of 1 to 10, how screwed would the Metarex be?
That is an interesting question. And I'm going to theory craft here and say that the method that the Metarex used to extract the planet eggs condenses and solidifies that life force. Mm-hmm. So what they would extract would basically be the essence of the Gaias in a singular egg. Like, they basically just rob Earth of its tofu, if you want me to cross-pollinate with another franchise.
Alrighty. And we got one last question before I take a break. It's from Mel. Not sure if this qualifies as Sonic Superstars spoilers, considering it's been half a year now, but spoiler it just in case, I guess. In Superstars, the Gray Chaos Emerald grants its user a unique extra ability. Sonic gets a homing attack, Knuckles can punch, etc. And Trip gets the ability to breathe fireballs. Since the other characters in their modern iteration seem to be able to perform these techniques without the need for an emerald, it stands to reason that a modern Trip would theoretically be able to freely breathe fire as well. So with that word salad of a preamble in my mind, my question is, if you were tasked with writing Trip into the comics, would you ever utilize those fiery abilities at all, or would it be too redundant since we already have Blaze?
First off, major asterisks here. That all depends on what Sega would want the character to do. But in general, I don't think it would make her redundant with Blaze. Like, for one thing, Blaze can generate all sorts of fire, and she can control fire. Like, she's a firebender. She has a huge range of ability. Whereas Trip would be, just a fire spitter.
Yeah.
Maybe a sustained flamethrower at most. And that right there, I feel like the application is very different. And their confidence and their individual characters also influences how they utilize that power. Like, Blaze has accepted her gift as part of herself and uses it freely and aggressively, whereas Trip is adorably stumblebumpkus, and I don't know if she would be freely shooting fire for fear of setting something else on fire. So I would imagine it would be part of her repertoire, but I don't think it would run the risk of overlapping with Blaze. Not to a significant degree, at least.
Nah. All right. With that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with more on the BumbleKast.
And we're back, this time with the weekly giveaway question. Our followers over on Twitter, Tumblr, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook every now and again get a chance to get a question on the show. And this week's question comes from
Tumblr. This one is asked by Hooga Booga. You must smash one Dr. Robotnik across all of his incarnations. Which one and why?
Undergrounds, I guess.
Do you know what the smash means in this context, Ian?
I'm assuming godly powers to eradicate one from the fabric of the universe?
Yeah.
Violent destruction?
We'll go with that. That's not what it means, but we'll go with that.
I'm confused, but I don't want clarity. Let's move on.
I'm going to say boom, Eggman. Morlis has a question. You've let it be known in the past that Sally and Nicole were trending towards getting in a romantic relationship with each other in the post-Genesis Wave continuity. Were there ever any specific plans for how they would get together? If not, how do you personally imagine things playing out, and what would their first date be?
No specific plans, because we didn't really get started down that road yet. Like, Aaliyah planted the seeds with, what was the name of that story?
Spark of Life?
Spark of Life. There you go. Thank you. How did I forget that? Like, that was like step 1 out of, 20. So, no, there was no specific roadmap or, goalposts to meet because, the book got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine it would just be like any other good relationship is, they grow closer and that fondness kind of eventually manifests in a way where they realize there's more to it than just the trust and the friendship that they've always had.
Alrighty. Too bad we never got that far. Oh, well. What would their first date be, do you think, though? I mean, I thought they already had it. It was stargazing, but, you know.
I don't know. Probably something a trifle awkward but well-intentioned.
Sounds about right.
That they're trying too hard. They already have each other. They already have that relationship. They don't need to prove anything to each other. So they can just relax.
Yeah. Mixiger17 has a question. Vector and Cream have a nice, fun, wholesome bonding day to celebrate him finally proposing to Vanilla. And for bonus fun, for once, money is an issue he has to worry about, and it's not because Vanilla gave him money for the day. What all did they get to do? Well, first of all, where did he get money from?
What can I say? Turned out I was a bad enough dude to rescue the president's daughter.
Well, there we go.
I don't know. Go to a theme park. Cream seems to enjoy, what is it, Music Park? They keep kind of referencing.
Shoot. I thought Music Park was the Mario Kart track.
No, Music Plant.
Music Plant. Okay, yeah.
You can understand where I got my wires crossed.
Yeah, I can.
Something fun and bright and colorful and child appropriate, complete with ice cream and snacks and just a nice day out. Have some fun.
That's right. And then Eggman attacks.
Enjoys music. Vector enjoys music. Cream enjoys Music Plant. They have a good time.
There you go. Nate Ray has a question. Silly scenario. Amy Rose and Metal Sonic are roommates due to some issues. Robot got kicked out of the Empire. Amy felt bad, similar to Christmas Special, but not the same situation. How does everyone react, and how is their day like?
Initially, everyone's kind of like, you sure about this? You know what, with the whole kidnapping and attempting murder on Sonic, none of this is ringing a bell. You're fine. Okay. I mean, who's going to argue with her, really? And Amy's like, it's fine. I can handle myself. And I mean, he doesn't really eat anything. He doesn't listen to loud music. He keeps to himself. He's a great roommate.
I mean,
until she looks at the power bill from his recharge station. She's like, okay, you have to go 50-50 on this. Come on now.
He can't argue. He can't talk.
Now, she eventually kicks him out when he steals her Sonic shrine.
Oh, no.
Number one, how dare you go in her room? And number two, that was hers.
Why would he steal it?
Well, if there's anyone more obsessed with Sonic than Amy, it's him.
Good point. That's a good point. Or maybe he just wants target practice.
No, I just imagine this dimly lit room with no other furniture and him just glaring.
Yeah, that works. All right, we got a question from Noni. Dear Ian, what are the lore implications of Silver without his eyeliner? Did he drop it somewhere?
Look, you mess around with the past, there's going to be repercussions.
Yeah.
And Silver has done a lot of stuff in the past. He's going to have to pay that price. And part of it is just not looking as fabulous.
No. It's a shame. Bring back the eyeliner, Ian. Onyxodon has a question. After watching the Book of Boba Fett, Mimic decides to do the same and kill his current boss, Clutch, taking over his criminal empire. What happens? Who helps him run it? Does he grow soft? Is there another criminal organization that he needs to do a standoff with? I'm begging for a mini-series about the archives of Mimic.
Now, I don't think Mimic would ever want to put himself in such a vulnerable position. I mean, sure, Clutch has played himself very under the radar, which is what allowed Mimic to go, yeah, okay, we can work together. But he's still the head of Clean Sweep. He's still a mover and a shaker. He has aspirations. And that's just asking for trouble.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So Mimic is very risk averse in that regard. But for the sake of the question, he pops the clutch and he's a shapeshifter, so he takes his place.
I was gonna say, yeah, he just becomes Clutch pretty much.
And if anybody comes looking for Clutch, oops, sorry, nobody here. There's an extra ficus plant that nobody remembers, but nobody's here.
Wait, he can turn into non-sentient objects?
For the sake of this joke, yes.
Okay. Alrighty. Here's the one from Scourge Time. I've seen some new Sonic Riders outfits of characters, so what kind of cool outfit would Scourge wear for his Sonic Riders race? We know he has the most fashion style of all the hedgehogs, so what would his clothes be, including new shoes?
I know that the guys don't wear a ton, but I imagine him in like a full race suit, like your Formula One racer, but it's in like the black with the red fire decals and motif all over.
Oh, it's not orange for prison?
Yeah.
It's not his prison jumpsuit.
I mean, everyone in Riders kind of accessorizes with some form of headgear, goggles or shades, but he already has the shades.
Yeah.
So unless he like upgraded to some like sick like skiing goggles that are also that bright orange, and maybe instead of just the ragged leather jacket, he's got something a little more fitted, maybe actually like closes it up a little bit just to vary up the look a bit.
Yeah.
And as for the shoes, Sonics aren't that different to his normal ones, so I'd say follow that trend. And they're already pretty cool looking shoes. Don't need to reinvent the wheel too much here.
No, or the shoes. Shoes have already been invented and they're all right.
Yep.
Scurvy Pirate Dog has a question. Here's the Sonic Boom plot for you. Morpho, aka Steve Eggman, knocks on Eggman's door and says to him, "Bro, dude, I took a trip to the casino night zone and I need you to look after my son for a while. Say hello to my son, your nephew, Boom Snively. How does it go? What's Boom Snively like?"
I'm going to say Boom Snively is like the classic Huey, Dewey, and Louie, where they put on the innocent facade, but then they absolutely terrorize their uncle.
Yeah.
The entire time. So Boom Eggman spends most of the episode unsure if Snively's trying to drive him crazy because he always acts so innocent and there's never really immediate evidence showing that he's doing stuff, but there's always that suspicion.
Yeah.
Always that lingering, I don't know how you done it, but I know you done it. And once he reaches his breaking point, that's when Steve comes back to take him home.
Eggman's going quackers.
And of course you have to end it with, "Oh man, you did like such a perfect job watching my little boy. I'll have to bring him by more often."
Oh no. Snively's just behind Steve and he just grins. No. Terrifying. Here's a question from Sonic Sword Fighter. Do the flying cars like the one Tails drives at the beginning of Zero Gravity require a different license than the regular ground-based cars?
I hope so. And you need a license to drive normal cars, and people do that terribly on 2 axes. You want to add a third to the mix? I don't care if it's got hover technology. You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, it's a big problem. Of
course, that also begs the question, does he have his pilot's license? Or does he just build planes and fly them because who's going to stop him?
I don't know. You're the one who could answer this question, Ian, not me. Do extreme boards require licenses? Do cars require licenses? I mean, Dodonpa just gave Tails a car. And Tails is generally considered to be around child age, so I don't know.
Maybe in Sonic's anarchist communist utopia, you don't need licenses. I don't know.
Weird.
Just throw kids at random kids on the street. Here, don't wreck it.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, spoiler 1001 is here with a question. If shaking keys distracted Archie Bean, what would a laser pointer do? Oh, he'd put all the eyes out, including his own.
He goes stock still. All the fun and goofy demeanor drained from his body as he glares at this singular point on the ground. My old foe, we meet again, and this time you won't escape! And then, about a city block gets leveled in explosives.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But still that damn laser.
And he's cackling with, nothing but burning debris around him. I got him! I finally got him! And then, that little laser pointer sputters back to life on a wall. No! No! How can you live through that? Why do you mock me so? Out! Out, damn spot!
Damn it. Oh, damn it. You did it. You did it.
And then Bark comes in and just puts him like in a pet carrier and takes him off.
Pretty much. Oh, man. Who's messing with him?
I don't know, but they learned their lesson.
All right, here's one from Switchel. Did you guys ever read any Sprite comics back when that was a thing? Be it the mini Sonic Sprite comics, Bob and George, Kid Rad, or something else entirely? If you haven't read Kid Rad, please do. It's a 10 out of 10, even if the humor is a bit dated.
I remember reading some of Bob and George.
Yeah, I did too. I followed Bob and George for a bit.
I don't remember when I fell off.
Yeah, I can't really remember much from it, but I do remember I followed it for a while.
And I know I read Sonic Sprite comics at some point, but they all kind of ran together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to have a Bob and George reference in 2024.
Well, it was one of the more consistent ones.
Yeah. And I mean, it was one of the early ones too, because it was started in 2000 apparently.
Shoot, is it still going?
No, it ended in 2007 apparently.
Still 5 years. That's a solid run.
Oh yeah, no, that's 7 years, Ian.
Look, Kyle, I write. I don't do math, and there's a reason for that.
I'm just saying. It's still up though. The website, bobandgeorge.com. Wow, it's still there. Cool. I have to look into that for old time's sake. All right, One True Blue has a question. While I'm not too familiar with your Archie beginnings, I'd like to know how you got your true beginnings. How did Beady Ian find his way into writing? Paper and pencil? Maybe typing on the computer in grade school? Or even a hobby, perhaps? When did Ian find his passion for writing?
I have always been a storyteller. And that sentence is so pretentious it makes me gag. But it's true. It's like, I remember years ago, we were cleaning out some old stuff from like when I was little. And on the back of this poster, there's just this scrawling mess of lines done in marker. And I couldn't decipher it anymore, but I distinctly remembered that it was like some kind of map and that there was a story that went along with it. So before I could even form coherent sentences or imagery, I was trying to tell stories with my 3 Crayola markers on the back of some random poster. It's just what I do. I remember I had this big pad of paper and was drawing these enormous comic book pages on it at my grandma's house and trying to tear them off evenly and staple them together, because why keep them in the actual pad of paper that already has binding? My dad had an electric typewriter that he used to write his own stories with, and he was very generous for the amount of paper I wasted. Just tap, 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 bing. I'm writing too, Papa. It's just gibberish. Lorem ipsum makes more sense. But yeah, I've always wanted to tell stories. I've always enjoyed stories. I drove my writing teacher up the wall. In grade school, we had like writing come in once a week, I think. And we were, told to write and illustrate our stories. Very simple stuff, scrawling in simple script and using our crayons to illustrate as well. And, the other kids were writing about their trip to the beach, or, this historical figure that we just learned about in history class. And I'm writing about how the Dinobots and the Power Rangers are teaming up to fight Hurricane Hugo as it blows in. And she's like, can you write something a little more down to earth? Is that nothing too derivative? I'm like, no, I'm going to write about crazy space dinosaurs shooting lasers. And look at me now, lady. I'm writing licensed stuff for a living. Ha, 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 ha.
Now you're writing about dinosaurs shooting lasers at Sonic the Hedgehog.
You know, I'm overdue for a good laser shooting dinosaur.
Yeah, bring it back.
I wonder if I can squeeze that in somewhere.
You'll figure it out. Oddly Roger has a question. Bean the Dynamite Duck versus Bomb Man versus Bomber Man. Who would win and how much collateral damage would result? I'm going to say
everything's burned down to the ground.
All the collateral damage would result.
Yeah. Like it's basically the end stage from Blast Core.
Which end stage? Which one?
The end of any stage.
Oh, okay, okay.
If you did your job right.
I was going to say, like, the end of which one? Like the one where you have to clear the entire city to make a runway for the runaway space shuttle?
Yes. Yes. No, that just came back to the Switch. I need to actually sit down and play that.
Oh,
anyway,
it's so good. It's such a good game. Love that game.
Bomb's the first to go because he's just a bomb. You know, you set him off. Boom, he's done. Bomb Man, he's going to last a bit, but he can lose to the solar-powered lemons. He's eventually going to be outclassed by the sheer amount of ordnance.
Yeah.
Bean and Bomberman are going to be the last two standing. Bean from the sheer magnitude of what he can produce, and Bomberman for his years of tactical training. And I think it might come down to Bean, just because when there's not anything else to hide behind or maneuver around, Bomberman's tactics might be what would paint him into a corner.
Yeah, eventually. He can only move. Bomberman can only move in 4 directions. He can't move diagonally. Yes. So, but Bomberman does have power-ups.
And Bomberman again is tactical. He's disciplined. Bean is not.
No,
Bean might set up his own bomb and blow himself up.
Yeah, that's very likely. Actually, who do you think would win? Comment below. Drive the metrics. Yes. And people like screaming at me, what about Bomberman 64? I know, but I'm making a joke. I'm trying to be funny. It's not working, I know, but I'm trying. Anyway, here's one last question for this episode, and it's from Twilord. You noted Commander ex-president holds surprising water. I'm happy an ally sees it. I assumed it only made sense to gay folk my age who had needed that rep in 2005. If true, do you think Prez pushed Com to invite Shadow to meet their grandchild? For Com's sake? Was he right to? Now, let's be fair. When you guys throw these crack ships at me, I'm trying to find a way to make any of them work. Just because one's a little easier, some of the others isn't really validation. It's like, oh, the 2 neurons managed to fire. All right. I mean, don't take it away from him. No, I mean, if you're happy with it, I'm happy you're happy. Just, you know, let's keep everything in perspective here. And as nice of a notion as that is, I feel like the commander coming around and letting go of his hatred and making the gesture to Shadow is something that he should have specifically for his character. You know, I feel like that's a very big, he's not much of a character, and this is a big part for him. So I wouldn't want to dilute that in any way. Let him come to that decision himself and make the gesture rather than he needs someone else's input to make him come to that realization. It still works, you know, in terms of, you know, valid couples supporting each other. I'm not saying it, you know, worsens the character turn. But just personally, I like it being his own achievement rather than it coming from anywhere else. Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Well, I guess on that note, we're at the end of yet another BumbleKast. That was an oddly sincere answer for a joke question. Anyway. Thank you to all our patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, and our YouTube members for supporting the show with all your questions and your money, because they're both good. Thank you. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And we will see you next time on the BumbleKast. See you when we see you. See you. Also, apparently, Ian, happy 18th anniversary to you working on Sonic. Thank you. That's actually coming up very soon. Like the actual official date. Yeah, I know. It's coming very fast. I wasn't going to make too big a deal out of it. I'm kind of waiting to say something when I hit my 20th. Yeah, there you go. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
Sidebar, probably either needs to be heavily edited or put in the post credits. It reminds me of a book that a friend of mine and I wanted to write one day called Peanut Butter and Fuck, the Study of the English Language. With the initial thesis being, what if in a parallel timeline the word jelly had been the unacceptable word? And, you know, in this world, everyone's telling each other to jelly off, and what the jelly is that, you know, and then explore more like the etymology and the history of certain words and why they are profane and where they came from and such and such. But that title, I think, is a bestseller. Anyway,